made a pretty crazy decision to give us completely new region roughly every 6 months. So with the end of the Lahai Roi, patch 3.5 takes us into completely new direction, to Mengzhou. 3.0 as an introduction was, kind of a bumpy ride, so I was kind of worried. Of course, I knew that this time would feel different because we are going back to Xuanling, seeing characters we already knew, and we will be getting this lovely feeling of nostalgia. But still, I hoped that they will not use the same formula from 3.0 that I believed at the time was the main problem. What is funny is that they actually did. Some of you pointed that out during my live stream, and that made me think. This is the part where I shamelessly advertise myself. I am indeed streaming now, and I have a freaking blast sharing those moments with you. So if you enjoy discussing lore, going through the story and characters together, or simply hanging out with your mouth on our internet coffee or tea, please keep an eye out for the notifications and join us next time. I genuinely love having you there, my baby stars. Anyway, back to the topic. Today we are going to talk about 3.5 and what it did better as an introduction, how it portrayed war through the lives of ordinary people, and how Yangyang's new form managed to feel like both a genuine power-up, but also a meaningful growth of the character. So, grab your tea or coffee and let us get started, Starlights. You know, going from Renacita to Lahai Roi, a region that felt completely different from everything that we have seen before, gave version 3.0 very difficult job, I think. WuWa tried to introduce the whole Lahai Roi at once, the Starlights Academy, the Synchronist, the Artificial Sun, the Exos tried a new technology, new mysteries, and several completely new characters. And visually, Lahai Roi was beautiful. The first part of 3.0 was actually really exciting, and it created a lot of interesting questions for the future, but at the same time, I constantly felt like I was being flooded with information from every possible direction. Well, the story was desperately trying to make me care about Linie and Warnie. And mind you, like I have said so many times, there were a lot of genuinely fascinating concepts there. The problem was that I was trying to understand what everything even was before I had time to care about what could happen to it. Version 3.5 avoids that problem by giving us Yangyang as emotional anchor. I mean, we already know her. She was the first person Rover saw after awakening. She was also one of the first people who trusted us, guided us, and stayed by our side during the main story in Jinzhou. We already have seen her as our companion. Friend even. That means the writers do not need to build our emotional connection with her from the beginning like they had to do with Linie and other characters in 3.0. Instead, they used everything we already know about Yangyang to introduce us to the Mengzhou. But at the same time, it is Mengzhou that allows us to finally learn more about Yangyang. By this, I see what big of a difference this made when we compare those two introductions. In version 3.0, the characters tried to help us introduce to the new region. In version 3.5, the region and the characters introduce each other. Mengzhou's history has shaped both the world and the people living there, right? Giving meaning to Yangyang's choices and the way she approaches her mission. Meanwhile, Yangyang give us a personal perspective through which we can understand Mengzhou, how its people live, how they interact with each other, and how they make decisions based on terrible events from the past. And nostalgia actually serves an actual narrative purpose. By not starting from the point zero of emotional attachment, even the smaller moments carry more weight and make me want to care about it. The very first major storyline presented to us in Wuthering Waves was about war. Solaris 3 is in constant state of conflict. We have factions fighting against each other, people fighting against other people. Most importantly, humanity fighting against the greatest threat currently known to us, the Thernoidians. I mean, during 1.x storyline, we fought against the literal Thernoidian of war. They couldn't be more subtle. But back then, war was mostly presented through military strategies, heroes, stories from the past, and one enormous battle at the end. Version 3.5, on the other hand, approaches the subject a little bit differently, okay? It shows us refugees, wounded soldiers, leaders having to make impossible decisions, children growing up without their loved ones, ordinary people trying to live a normal life in a place that exists because their ancestors fought and died for it. This is something that I can very much connect with. When we first arrive in Mengzhou, we see the beauty of this region. I mean, oh my god, this region is beautiful! The stunning architecture, amazing new NPCs, lore, if you know what I mean, gorgeous visuals, and absolutely mesmerizing music. But when we are forced to relive its past and witness the war that once happened on those lands in Yangyang's eyes, we finally understand what actually happened to the region we are looking at today. War is not only about the freaking borders changing on the map. It is not only about the politician, military strategies, and soldiers wearing the shiny armor. War is waiting for someone who may never fucking return. It is being forced to leave your home and everyone you love. It is children learning about death before they are even old enough to understand it. It is soldiers continuing to fulfill their duties while knowing that they may never return to the people waiting for them. And version 3.5 chooses to show us exactly this part of war. Its consequences for ordinary people. Both the people who directly lived through it and those who have to live in the world left behind. We're giving this perspective through Yangyang. Despite being an experienced resonator, she's not some hero. She's on the ground. In her visions, she meets the people directly affected by the war. She listens to them, witnesses their pain. She is forced to witness all of that suffering while being completely unable to stop it. Stories in games very often focus on gods, powerful heroes, chosen ones. And when everything is shown through some massive perspective, thousands of dead people can eventually become nothing more than a number. But when the story allows us to spend time with the individual people who are simply trying to live their lives, the loss of every one person starts to mean something. And that contrast between the Mengzhou we see today and the version of it that existed during the war made me understand its people much better. We see what they created after the tragedy, but we also see how many lives were lost to make their current lives possible. And because of that, I actually started to care about protecting it. Now, do I believe every conversation needed to be as long as it was? Probably not. This quest is incredibly long, and there are definitely moments where the pacing could have been improved without sacrificing the emotional impact, of course. The beginning especially moves at much slower pace, and I'm still not completely sure how Kuro could have shortened it or changed it a little bit without removing the moments that made the region feel this human. So, I don't know, if you have any ideas, please let me know in the comments. However, the introduction of a completely new villain was definitely not something that I'd expected, and it was a very refreshing change in the philosophy of the story. During his final monologue, he actually asks one of the most interesting freaking questions we have received in the last few patches. Why do we automatically believe that Thermodians are evil and Sentinels are good? We have never actually received confirmation that this is a fact. Sentinels, though, we know that are just as alien to Solaris 3 as the Thermodians. We do not know where they originally came from. We do not fully understand their purpose. All we really know is that they guide and protect certain civilizations. But does helping humanity automatically make their intentions purely good? This actually made me think about Reapers from the Mass Effect. From the very beginning, the Reapers were presented as a horrifying and evil beings traveling through the galaxy and eradicating entire civilizations. And yes, what they were doing was killing everything they touched. At least that is what we thought. Because later, we learned that they believed they were doing it for a greater purpose. Their creator's logic was that every advanced organic civilization would eventually create artificial intelligence, which would inevitably lead to a war between synthetic and biological life. A war that, according to them, could eventually destroy all organic life. So, the Leviathans created a cycle. Reapers harvested the most advanced civilizations while leaving younger species alive, giving them time to develop and thrive until the next harvest began. Genocide is not a good solution in my opinion, but it gave the Reapers a purpose beyond simply being evil because the story needed a villain. And I wonder what WuWa could be preparing for us for a similar shift in our understanding of the Sentinels and the Thermodians. Maybe it is not as simple as we have always believed. Maybe they represent two different solutions to the same problem. Or maybe Sentinels are helping humanity, but for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with kindness. For now, we don't know. And the only way to find out is to wait and see. we gotta talk about our poster girl, Yangyang. SP characters can very easily feel like a product first and a character second. You know, the formula, take an already popular character, in this case literally poster girl of the game, give her a beautiful new outfit, maybe change her element, make her much more important in the meta, and add some cool animations and poof, you got your ching ching money. But Yangyang's transformation into the Xuanling feels a little bit more than that, because becoming Xuanling doesn't simply turn her into a completely different person. Instead, it makes the traits that were already part of her character and allows us both and Yangyang herself to understand them better. One of the Yangyang's most recognizable qualities has always been her gentleness. She is kind, understanding, patient, and willing to listen to people around her. And the story doesn't treat this as weaknesses that she needs to overcome before becoming strong. They are exactly what makes her strong. She begins to understand that gentleness is worth protecting, that the beauty of this world is worth fighting for, even if protecting it sometimes requires using force. I love that distinction. I mean, listen to this. Yangyang starts as a 4-star arrow character who is primarily used as a sub DPS and support, right? She helps other characters, creates opportunities for them, and you switch to the main DPS. But as her character develops, she becomes a 5-star Havoc main DPS dealer who is fully capable of standing on her own. I mean, she needs sub DPS and support, but that's not my point, okay? She's no longer a sidekick. She's no longer the person being guided. She finally trusted herself and understood what she wanted to become both as a person and a fighter. She's basically the same Yangyang. I also think that the song that was carried through the entire quest makes the transformation even more beautiful. Oh my god, the song is amazing. So much of Yangyang's story has always been about listening to others' struggles, listening to people, and becoming Xuanling feels like she still listens to everyone else, but she also finally finds her own voice. And yes, the magical transformation was absolutely amazing. I mean, from my perspective as a woman, seeing her become this strong and capable woman without needing to abandon her gentleness, love, or kindness, it was simply the feast for my eyes. She becomes stronger while remaining unapologetically herself. She chooses what kind of protector she wants to become. I don't think that 3.5 is the most complicated story WuWa has ever told, okay? And it may not deliver the same emotional impact as some of other previous patches. But as an introduction to the new chapter, I believe it did a very good damn job. It made me care about the region, it made me care about the characters, it gave us some genuinely entertaining comic relief that made them feel more human. I'm specifically saying about the interactions of Yangyang and Soy Sauce. You can't prove me wrong. It presented both the bigger conflict and the smaller, more personal stakes, and it made me genuinely excited to explore this absolutely beautiful new mode. You know, version 3.0 made me curious about what Lahai Roi was. I would be lying if I said otherwise, but version 3.5 made me care about what had already happened to Mengzhou and what might happen to it in the future almost from the very beginning. But now, please let me know what do you think about version 3.5 as an introductory patch. Are you also excited where this story is going, or are you already waiting for it to finish so we can move up? And how would you compare 3.5 to other introductory patches we have already received? I genuinely want to know which one was your favorite and why. I can't wait to read all of your opinions. And as always, stay cozy, stay shiny, and I love you so much, Starlights. Bye.